Hi everybody, this is Ravi from Precision Academy. Today I am going to talk about international organizations working to protect biodiversity. The organizations which I am going to cover today are IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, extremely useful organization. It's working hard to protect the environment and biodiversity. Convention on Wetlands, which is also called Ramsar Convention because it happened at Ramsar. World Heritage Convention, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna, Trade Related Analysis of Fauna and Flora in Commerce, Traffic, Sites, IUCN, really important organizations I am going to cover today. We all need to know who is working to save biodiversity, who is working to protect the environment. So we are all damaging, we are all the people who are with our excessive consumerism, and by having more and more population on the globe, we are trying to consume more and more, which is putting pressure on the resources. But these organizations are trying hard to protect the environment. Let's understand what they are doing. IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature. So it's involved in data gathering and analysis. So which species is getting endangered, which species population is going down. So they keep counting. So they are the accountants of this biodiversity. So they do research, they do field projects, advocacy, they also educate us. So IUCN's mission, what is its mission? I will read out: influence, encourage and assist societies throughout the world to conserve nature and to ensure that any use of natural resources is equitable and ecologically sustainable. So what they do, they try to influence, they encourage us, they assist societies throughout the world. So they even work with the governments to conserve nature. So this is about conservation. And then they also ensure that natural resources, any use of natural resource is equitable and ecologically. They are not saying you should not use natural resources. What they do is equitable distribution. One country or one particular society should not exploit it. It should be equitably distributed to the entire mankind, and it should be sustainable. It should not be like that, like we use it for 50 years and then there will be nothing. No, it should be sustainable. For example, tribals, they go to forest, they take only the produce, they don't take entire tree, they don't cut the trees. So they take honey, they take nuts, whatever available, so produce, so that it will be, the tree will generate that next year. So they don't cut the golden goose, so they only take the eggs. Similarly, we also should use the resources but in a sustainable way. That's what they say. Best known to wider public for compiling and publishing Red Book. So the Red List, IUCN Red List, endangered, critically endangered, extinct in the wild, all this. So what is the IUCN status? We all see. If you go to Wikipedia and write like Indian bustard IUCN status, you will get it, like it is critically endangered, something like that. So we all know about it in that way, but they do lot more. I will explain what else they do. So it's established in 1948, 1 year after we got independence, and then its location is in Gland, Switzerland. It has 1300 members, which means it is not government organizations, so it's private NGOs and other members. It has 900 employees, it has its own setup, and it also get lot of revenue, 116 million. They do lot of projects to governments, they get revenue from it, and they even public support it. So, if you see the IUCN timeline what they have achieved, you can, it's amazing, you will understand what exactly they are. So, in 1961, so 1948 they are established. In 1961 Worldwide Wildlife Fund, WWF, was set up. So, this is an initiative of IUCN timeline. So, the IUCN, so what they did, they encouraged this. So, for complementary organization to focus on fundraising, public relations, public support, getting more public support. Then 1972, after 10 years of that, so UNESCO adopted convention concerning the protection of world culture and natural heritage. So, we see like cultural national heritage sites, world heritage sites, that is the initiative of IUCN and UNESCO. So, IUCN is involved in providing technical evaluation and monitoring for natural sites. So, this World Heritage Organization, they give World Heritage sites of cultural importance and also natural importance. Some are mixed. So, in 1974 IUCN is involved in obtaining the agreement of its membership to sign convention of these sites. This is also an important organization. So, IUCN is involved in obtaining the agreement of the members to sign for the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. IUCN in 1975, so Convention on Wetlands of International Importance, that is the Ramsar Convention. So, it came into force. Secretariat is administered from IUCN's headquarters. It shows the status of IUCN in the international community. Even Ramsar Convention, it is administered from IUCN's headquarters, that shows. So, IUCN is different, Ramsar is different, but it supports. So, because of the same objective, for this objective whatever they are, for them protection of biodiversity is important, for that whichever way they can, they will. In 1980 IUCN together with UNEP and WWF, they collaborated with UNESCO to publish World Conservation Strategy. In 82, following IUCN's preparation and efforts, UN General Assembly adopted World Charter for Nature. So, World Conservation Strategy, World Charter for Nature. So, IUCN is involved in coming up with all this. So, they join hands with like-minded or the organizations which are also working for protecting environment. So, IUCN Red Book I talked about what it is. So, it gives least, LC means least concern, NT is near threatened, VU is vulnerable, EN is endangered, CR is critically endangered, EW means extinct in the wild. So, EX, so it is extinct, no more they are like dinosaurs, it does not exist beyond reasonable doubt. So, I am showing you some of the examples like dodo, it does not exist anymore. Here you see, you can only see the skeletons of it. So, Hawaiian crow, it is extinct in wild, this one, now it is only in the conservation places. So, Great Indian Bustard, it is critically endangered, it is at the verge of, unless we protect it, it may leave this planet forever. So Nilgiri Thar, it's endangered, this one Nilgiri Thar. And then fishing cat, it's vulnerable. It's a master fishing cat. It fishes really skillfully. Himalaya, it can stay within the water also for more time, so that it swims, it fishes, and it comes out. Of course, it comes out, it's like any other cat, but it has special capabilities. Himalayan Sero, this one, it's near threatened. So I am giving some examples, and this is how this IUCN Red Book collects the information, keeps a watch on the population of these animals and all the species, even plants. Now another important organization, Convention on Wetlands, it's called Ramsar Convention. The objective, what is the objective of it? To provide the framework for national action and international cooperation. You see this, national action. So countries have to act. So international organizations cannot do anything because of the territorial integrity. All the laws are implemented only at the national level through enactment in the parliament or in their own way. So for the conservation and wise use of wetlands and their resources, they are into wetlands. They encourage nations to act, and also they make sure that international cooperation exists between these nations. So in 2019 they have 2341 Ramsar sites in the world. It covers, you can see, you can do like this, 25 crore 24 lakh 79,417 hectares. So huge area is covered by Ramsar Convention. So where is it? It's in Iran. Ramsar is in Iran. It's established in 71-75, means so initially they keep it for signature and they come into existence in the second year, that is 75. So it has 171 partners. So its depository is Director General of UNESCO. So who are the partners to it? It also have partners like international organizational partners, IOPs, BirdLife International, IUCN, International Water Management Institute, Wetland International, WWF, Wildfowl and Wetland Trust. These are all the partners for maintaining or working to protect the wetlands. So Ramsar, how do they come up with this? I will quickly go through that. There are multiple criteria based on which they select the sites. Criteria 1, so this wetland should contain a representative, rare or unique example of natural or near natural wetland types. So it should be a rare, unique, or criteria 2, it supports vulnerable, endangered or critically endangered species. So that's really important. If any wetland is supporting them, that becomes criteria 2 to make it as a Ramsar site. Criteria 3, it supports population of plants and animal species important to maintaining diversity, and it's not just water and land is there, they don't take it. So it should have some importance. It supports plants and animal species at a critical stage of life cycle. So like endangered or that kind of. During adverse conditions, provides refuge to the diversity in adverse conditions. So if it has 20,000 or more water birds, that's criteria 5. So if it has 1% of the individuals in the total population, criteria 6, and indigenous fish subspecies, species for families, life history stages are there, even fish based on fish, birds and other species. So it is important source of food for fishes. So if it is source of food for fishes and if it is part of migratory path, then also they take it. And then if it has 1% of the individuals in the population, then they pick it. These are 9 different ways of selecting Ramsar sites. India got 10 more Ramsar sites recently. So, important Ramsar sites I will read out in India, like Astamudi wetlands, Bias Conservation Reserve, Bittarakanika mangroves, Chilka Lake, Kollir Lake, Sundarbans. This is the largest wetland in India, 4,22,023,000 hectares. Vembanad coal wetland. So, these 10 new wetlands have come up. So, Nandur, it's a first wetland in Maharashtra, which is Nandur. So, Punjab got Keshopur, Miani, Bias Conservation Reserve and Nangal. So, in Uttar Pradesh they got more, Nawabganj, Parvati Agra, Saman, Samaspur, Sandhi, Sarsai, Nawar. So, these are the new 10 Ramsar sites in India. So, this is a diagram for you. There are total 37 sites in India, 10 are recently added. Mostly these sites are in the coastal belt. So, you can see this wetlands. Wetlands can be like fresh water, it can be salt water, it can be brackish water. So, mainly in the coastal side or in the Himalayan Kashmir, in that belt you can see that. So, there is something called Montreux's record. Some of the couple of our wetlands are in Montreux's record. It is not a like a positive record. If somebody is in a in this record, it's like IUCN critical or something similar to that. So, it's a negative thing, negative record. It's a Montreux's, if a Ramsar site is in Montreux's record, what does it mean? It's a register of wetland sites on the list of Ramsar wetland of international importance, where changes in ecological character have occurred. So, some changes are happening, it is not positive, changes are only negative. Wetlands are good, if something is happening, it is good, it is not good. So, are occurring, are likely to occur as a result of technological developments, pollution or other human interference. So, human beings are tampering with it, they are doing something. So, they are polluting, they are interfering. So, then it comes into Montreux's record. In India, these two have gone into that record. Collidio National Park and Loktak Lake, they are both of them are designated in Montreux's record. So, Wetlands International, it is an international partner of Ramsar Convention. I just explained what it is. It came into existence in 1937 as International Wildfowl Inquiry, and it changed its name multiple times, and now it is called Wetland International. It works to sustain and restore wetlands and their resources for people and biodiversity. So, this is their work. It is an independent, not for profit global organization, international NGO. It is not having members like state members. So, it is supported by governments and NGO members from around the world. So, it is an NGO, Wetland International. It is not Ramsar. So, it existed even before, but they are together, they work together. So, World Heritage Convention, so what are the objectives of it? To identify and conserve the world's cultural and natural heritage, both cultural and natural. There are two types of heritages we have. So, we have, like for example, if you are you will be inheriting your parents' wealth as well as their relatives and all that contacts and all that goodwill. So there are two types. Similarly for human beings, we have cultural heritage like Agra, like Taj Mahal, and then we have natural heritage, Kaziranga National Park. So these are the natural heritages. We did not create them, so we are inheriting them naturally. So drawing up list of sites whose outstanding values should be preserved for all humanity. So they come up with the list, and they ensure protection through closer cooperation among nations. They work with nations to protect these sites. So what is this organization? The program began with convention concerning the protection of world's cultural and natural heritage. That was a convention. So this is a convention in UNESCO on 16th November 1972. So in that date they had a convention. That's how this WHC has come up. So as on July 2019, 1121 World Heritage Sites are there, 869 cultural sites, 213 natural sites, in which I told you 37 are so it's important now for this particular session we are talking about natural sites, 39 mixed properties. Some are mixed, both natural as well as cultural, and 167 countries. So where is it located? Paris, France. So heritage, World Heritage list, which of these from India are in World Heritage list. So you better visit these places once, so that you will understand the importance of this. You will feel, once you have more awareness, more interaction, you will be thinking from protection perspective, and then you will be a positive individual from then on. Kaziranga National Park, so that is one. Kalidio National Park, Manas Wildlife Sanctuary, Sundarbans National Park. Sundarbans, I told you, it is even a Ramsar site. Nanda Devi and Valley of Flowers National Parks, Western Ghats, Great Himalayan National Park Conservation Area, and this one is a mixed. So Kanzenjunga National Park 2016, it is a mixed national park. Trade related analysis of fauna and flora in commerce, traffic. Just like human trafficking, animals are also undergoing trafficking. So they just named it such a way that abbreviation has that clearly stating their purpose. So what they do, it is a leading non-governmental organization working globally to ensure that trade in wild plants and animals is not a threat to the conservation. So they are not saying there should not be any trade, but it should not threaten the conservation efforts, it should not threaten the nature. It was founded in 1976, a strategic alliance between WWF and IUCN. So IUCN is so important, I told you, and then WWF is the fundraising side and awareness creation organization. So this is a strategic alliance of these two to create traffic. Its location is in Cambridge, UK. It is not a UN organization, it is originated by the initiative of IUCN and WWF. These two are NGOs, and this traffic is also an NGO. Convention, this sites, Convention on International Trade, this sites, the objectives of species of wild flora and fauna is to ensure that international trade in specimens of wild animals and plants does not threaten their survival. That is first thing they try to ensure. So through its three appendices, so they have three appendices. I will explain what they have. Conservation accords varying degree of protection. So appendix 1 highest, 2 medium, something like that. So more than 30,000 plant and animal species are in this appendix. So sites, so the thought idea has come in 1963, there was a resolution, and then 73 opened for signature, 75 entered into force, 183 members are parties. It is in Geneva, Switzerland. So what they do, they work by subjecting international trade in specimens of selected species to some control. So they closely work with governments, so they enter into agreements with all this. So all import, export, re-import and introduction from the sea of species covered by the convention has to be authorized through a licensing system. There is a licensing system, every country, every exporter, importer have to follow that. Each party to the convention must designate one or more management authorities. So all the party who is part of this convention, they have to designate management authorities in charge of administering it, and that licensing system, whoever takes care of that. So there should be a representative here, and then they have to work on it. So and then appendix 1, 2, 3, these are the list of species. So I will explain the three appendices. Appendix 1, so most endangered species are in this. So 931 species are there in appendix 1. Appendix 2 has 34,419 species, not necessarily threatened now, but that may become so. If we have this trade, uncontrolled trade, then it may get threatened. So they are in appendix 2. This one is big no, no way of trading in this. So here, so if we start trading, so controls vary. Appendix 3 is a list of species included at the request of the party that already regulates trade. Say for example, India is regulating trade in a particular species, and then they can say, so please try to regulate. They have regulations, and then they communicate to sites and they put it in appendix 3. So need to be cooperation of other countries to prevent, so for example, some species we are trying to regulate which is not endangered or threatened, and somebody is exporting it to China, and we want to restrict it. So it's more than one country, there should not be any import there, use of it there. So we work with sites and they add it in appendix 3. So what is the contribution of CITES till now? So it regulates international trade close to 35,000 species. It has cutting edge of the database on sustainable use of biodiversity. It is working for the past 42 years. So huge amount of transactions and database they are covering. It works with Interpol, International Criminal Police Organization. So even for plants, Interpol, we know it's about international criminals. So the wild trade, trade in endangered species and wildlife is also a crime. So they work with Interpol, UN Office on Drugs and Crime, and then they work with World Bank, World Customs Organization to tackle illegal wildlife. So Customs Department, World Bank, so World Office on Drugs, Interpol, all these organizations, they work together. CITES works with them to enforce these restrictions on international trade. Now I will give you 5 questions. I am not going to give you answers. if you are not sure what is the right answer, what I suggest you to do is to go back and listen to that particular part of it in this video, then you will get an idea. So, what is right, and you may not have everything required in this question to answer from this video, but you have to apply what I am telling you. So, you have to use your own additional intelligence and common sense to come with an answer, and then if you still have doubts or if you know the answer is right, and then you can come and write in the comment section, so we can have discussion on like this interesting topic, and also what is the right answer. So, question number 1, consider the following statements in respect of trade related analysis of fauna and flora in commerce. So, first statement, traffic is a bureau under United Nations Environment Program UNEP. 2, the mission of traffic is to ensure that trade in wild plants and animals is not threat to the conservation of nature. So, which of the above statements is correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. So, question number 2, the red data books published by the International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, so IUCN, contains lists of 1, endemic plant and animal species present in the biodiversity, threatened plant and animal species, so protected sites for conservation of nature and natural resources in various countries. I am not making tick mark as they are read, I am only reading. So, which is true? Red book contains threatened plant and animal species, I told you this, but how about the other 2 options? Just think. Question number 3, if a wetland of international importance is brought under the Montreux record, what does it imply? I told you this. Changes in ecological character have occurred, are occurring, are likely to occur in the wetland as a result of human interference. B, the country in which the wetland is located should enact a law to prohibit any human activity within 5 kilometers from the edge of the wetland. C, the survival of the wetland depends on the cultural practices and traditions of certain communities living in its vicinity, and therefore the cultural diversity therein should not be destroyed. D, it is given the status of World Heritage Site, which is true. Question number 4, with reference to a conservation organization called Wetlands International, which of the following statements is or correct? A, it is an intergovernmental organization formed by the countries which are signatories to Ramsar Convention. Just recollect what I told about Wetlands International to you with respect to Ramsar. So, it works at the field level to develop and mobilize knowledge and use the practical experience to advocate for better policies. So, select the correct answer using the code given below, 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. Final question, with reference to the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources IUCN and Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora CITES, which of the following statements are correct? I am giving 3 statements. 1, IUCN as an organ is an organ of the United Nations, and CITES is an international agreement between the governments. Is IUCN an organ of UN? Just recollect. IUCN runs thousands of field projects around the world to better manage natural environments. Number 3, CITES is legally binding on the states that have joined it, but this convention does not take the place of national laws. 1 only, B 2 and 3, C 1 and 3 only, D 1, 2 and 3. So, for all these 5 questions, hope you got the right answers. You write your answers in the comment section. We will discuss. I can answer, I can elaborate more on your questions. Now, I will give the quote to conclude. Biodiversity is our most valuable but least appreciated resource. Edward Wilson. Thank you for joining. If you have any questions, you write it in the comments, but if you want to join us for test series, or if you want mentorship from me, you can call 8101010140 or 60, or my number, personal number is 85. Don't call to that number, just send a WhatsApp message. I will see that immediately. I will contact you, I will respond in WhatsApp. And if you are not yet, if you have not yet subscribed to Precision Academy YouTube channel, please do so, so that you will not miss my future sessions, and click the bell symbol. Thank you very much for joining. Have a good day. Bye bye.